If you ever see half a cut of lemon lying at the crossroads, do not step on it. Not because it's superstition, but because some things are placed there for someone else. Suman didn't know that. One summer night he went out of his home for a walk. He wasn't looking at the ground. Then he felt a jolt in his leg. It was sharp enough to stop him, but it was gone almost immediately. There was no blood, no cut, not even a mark. No reason to worry. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. All this started on a hot summer night of August 2021. It was one of those evenings where the heat is unbearable. Even after long past sunset, the heat still lingers. Suman just had his dinner and stepped out for a walk at around 9:30 in the evening. No cars, shops were closed early, and the only sources of light were one or two bulbs that were buzzing above select stores. The rest of the street was swallowed in shadow. It was just him, a light cooling breeze, and the sound of his own footsteps in that deserted street. He wasn't thinking. He didn't need to. He wasn't watching the ground either. And then a sharp jolt of pain went through his leg, right in the back of his heel. Sharp and clean, like a needle. He jerked his foot in reflex, and whatever he had stepped on went flying away into the dark. He was left standing there, clutching his ankle, trying to discern what hurt him. But when he looked, there was nothing. There was no cut, no blood, not even a mark. He sat down under that weak light on the road and probed his heel with his fingers. Still nothing. Then he checked his sandals. There was a pin piercing through the heel of the sandal. So that's what it was. Removing it, he decided to recheck any injuries when he's finally back home. After all, there was no visible wound, no injury. So he got up, brushed off, and walked back home. That should have been the end of it, until that night took a darker turn. Around 3:20 a.m. that night, Suman woke up, not from a nightmare, but from cold. His heel felt cold, as if he was standing on wet tiles in the winter, which made no sense. It was August. The nights were fairly hot. He was also sleeping under a sheet. Strange. He rubbed his feet and waited for the feeling to go away. Eventually, he fell asleep again. The next night, the same thing happened again. Same heel, same time. But this time the cold was heavier, as if he had just dipped his feet in freezing cold water. It was enough to wake him up. And then the smell hit him. It smelled like something had just died and rotted. Not strong, but just enough to make breathing a little unpleasant. He got up and looked around. The window was open. Maybe it was coming from the outside. He went to close the window. Halfway through, the smell disappeared. Suman didn't notice. He just closed the window, went back to bed, and went to sleep. In the morning, his heel felt strange. If you touch a surface with your nail, that's exactly how it felt like, but for the entire back of his heel. Small enough to ignore, but it stayed on his mind. And by the third night, Suman couldn't ignore it anymore. By then, he thought that his foot might have been infected. Maybe the pin pricked him and broke inside. Maybe he should go see a doctor. Even though his mind was saying that the cause was medical, he hesitated. That would just end up worrying his mom and dad, so he decided against it. Instead, he started to sleep with the blanket pulled tight, even in the heat. And still at 3:20 a.m., his heel would turn cold. It was getting a little annoying. He sat up on his bed, intent on warming up his feet. Then the smell came again. This time, stronger, more potent. Enough to make him retch a little. The window was still open, but this time he noticed something else. There was a shadow in the corner of his room. It was distinctly feminine, but its body was shrouded in darkness. He could see the frayed and free strands of long hair. He could make out the red sari draped across it. Suman was naturally terrified. Scared out of his wits, he turned on the bedside nightlight on, and the shadow disappeared. The image still lingered with him, and he barely slept that night. The figure of that entity kept flashing before his eyes every time he closed them. That's when he realized this wasn't a medical issue anymore. This was something beyond it. And he finally did the one thing he'd avoided doing. He told his parents. He told them all of it. The walk, the pinprick, the cold, the smell that came and went, and the shadow figure. And for a moment he felt relief, because now he wasn't alone in this. His parents dismissed it as hallucination, bad sleep, and possibly some infection from what pricked him, they concluded. They told him,
"You probably had a bad dream. Here, take this and go see a doctor today, okay?"
His mother handed him some money and told him to go drink some water and get some sleep. His eyes were bloodshot and his mother could see it. It seems like a perfectly reasonable thing to do, isn't it? But little did they know of how badly this little dismissal is going to cost them. Suman didn't argue. He nodded. It stung a little that his parents didn't trust him. When the only people you can depend on don't trust your word, there's nowhere for you to go. Going to the doctor did not remove the problem. It wasn't medical after all. But still, the checks were done and the report came normal. Seeing the reports, his parents reassured him that everything was perfectly fine and he was worrying for nothing. But deep down, Suman knew that this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. But more than that, his attitude towards his parents became a little more reserved, a bit more constrained. And that's all the give that entity needed to chip down his defenses. After that, the presence became a constant. Every night he could feel that thing stare at him from the corner. He just kept telling himself that it was all in his mind. He would see it in his dreams approaching him. In those dreams, he saw himself trapped with that entity, and it approached him step by step. Every night it got closer and closer and closer. Suman started waking up tired even after long sleep. He started snapping in small ways. He stopped talking, stopped going out. His parents thought it was just mood swings, college, heat, life. But little did they know of how much Suman was suffering, and all he could do was ignore it and take it. But his parents never believed his word. So Suman stopped talking. He stopped opening his mouth because words felt pointless. And the heel wasn't just cold anymore. It started to sting and it hurt. It was mild but constant. But Suman had no idea how worse it's going to get. One night he woke up and felt it clearly. A slow and upward crawling sensation, like something burrowing inside his leg and up. He sat up in a panic, his heart hammering in his chest. He put his foot down on the floor, and for a split second, he saw a smear of red on the bedsheet, like a wound was dragged. He blinked. The smear vanished. Nothing on the floor, nothing on his foot. He was alone this time, and that constant feeling of being watched was gone, replaced by a growing sense of dread that sent chills through his body. After that night, Suman changed. He started to be listless. He would stare at one spot for too long. He would answer late. He stopped going out and even started to avoid college. He made excuses of being ill. Headaches and stomach aches became common. Sometimes his breathing would shift, fast and shallow. Other times it seemed like he forgot how to breathe. His mother started to watch him eat, watch him sleep, trying to figure out what's wrong with her son. And then came the first moment that made the family rethink their entire month. It was late evening. Suman was sitting in his room when his father called for dinner. No response. His father came to his room and called again. Suman turned to him slowly, and his face didn't match his eyes. There was a shadow of a feminine face overlapping his own. His mouth moved like he was about to say something, and then he laughed. A short and dry sound that was disturbing to hear. "Suman, what are you trying to do?" His father questioned, disturbed, seeing his child a little unhinged. Then Suman spoke, but it wasn't Suman either.
I'm not Suman.
The reply came in a surprisingly feminine tone. Then he started laughing again. Suman, this isn't funny anymore. His father jerked him by the shoulder and called for his mom. His mom came in and saw Suman and his antics. Later, she said that at that moment, it didn't feel like she was looking at her son at all. Suman was staring at her with an eerie grin plastered on his face. Then, it soon turned into a snarl.
I told you I'm not Suman. This is Suman. And I'm here to thank you.
Then he started laughing again. His father understood one thing. This isn't an act. Shushma, I think there is something wrong with him. Shushma, I think there's something on him. His mother's name was Shushma.
On him? What do you mean, Raj? You mean ghosts? Are you saying my son is possessed?
With the kind of things he's doing? I think yes.
No, he's just acting out. And you, enough of this. Did you fail that test? Is that why you were doing this? I'm telling you, you're not getting off the hook this easy.
Suman kept laughing, then looked at her with side eyes and that eerie grin plastered on his face. Shushma, please, listen to me. There is something wrong with our son. This isn't normal at all. His father tried to hold the situation together, but desperation doesn't look brave. They had moved their sight away from Suman for just a moment, and he was gone. It was quiet and fast, and they didn't even hear him move. Before they could even react, they heard some movement from their bedroom. Sound of anklets echoed in the hallway. Now that scared even Sushma. They hurried towards their bedroom and found Suman at the dressing table. He was humming a tune and putting on makeup like a lady, and acting like one too.
It's been so long since I looked this pretty. So long.
They could hear Suman speak in a feminine voice. Helpless, they could only watch, unknowing of how bad things are soon going to escalate. The events that unfolded that night were absolutely terrifying. From threatening to jump from the roof to threatening of hurting himself, Suman's actions kept his parents awake the entire night. And of course, this kind of commotion doesn't stay isolated. The neighbors soon found out and it became a spectacle. From respect to pity, the public doesn't spare a single thought before changing its tone, especially when they see someone in a rough spot. They somehow managed to control Suman and tied him up for his own good. But as soon as Suman started to threaten them with,
I'm gonna take you all away one by one. After them, it's your turn.
all of them backed off. In the end, it was just Raj, Shushma and Suman left. As a mother, Shushma was devastated seeing her child in binds. She began to sob and Raj somehow managed to console her. That night, nobody slept. In the morning, Raj called his dad for help. His father could hear his desperation, sadness and sheer tiredness in his voice. But when it comes to troubles of supernatural, the elders know more. He listened and didn't interrupt. Then he said one thing. I know someone, but you have to go to them right now. Dad, there is no way we can go anywhere. With the condition he is in, I don't think we can go anywhere at all. I'm afraid they're gonna have to come to us. Suman's grandfather agreed to talk to the person. The person who came was a priest. He was an older man with tired-looking eyes. He looked at Suman and his expression didn't change. He said calmly, "Totka hai, maran kriya." Raj almost broke right there. Black magic on us? But who do that? We don't even have enemies. Suman started to laugh on the side. The priest side-eyed him and continued, That I cannot say who did. And as far as I can see, it wasn't meant for the boy either. It was for someone else and he stepped on it by mistake. And the thing that's on him, it's not some random ghost. It's a Diane. And it's going to take a powerful ritual to get rid of it. A ritual for which I need time to prepare. Raj knew that the only thing he didn't have was time. He was about to interject when the priest held up a hand. No need to worry, I will give you something. It will keep things under control till then. He then pulled out a red string. It was a ritual thread. Now, ritual threads are normally red, but this one looked different. It was bleeding the color.
You're going to control me? Just you?
The grating voice of someone made the priest turn. Right now, it's only control. After 7 days, I am going to trap you in a glass bottle, and you will be trapped for eternity. The bold tone of that priest seemed to irritate the entity. He performed some ritual on it and tied the thread to Suman's wrist. But this kind of protection doesn't come without a cost. And the cost here were restrictions. Restrictions that the priest listed one by one. In these upcoming 7 days, the family is not allowed to eat meat, have sweets, and alcohol is strictly forbidden. They were also warned that they are not allowed to visit any cremation grounds, regardless of what happens. Assured of some relief, they went home. But what they didn't know was that fate had something else planned. That night, Suman was calmer. The house was silent, except for quiet sobs echoing through the hallway. Shishma was crying. She sat on the floor beside her son's room and cried. She cried because now she believed him. And belief, when it comes too late, becomes guilt. She was feeling guilty. Next day, Shishma broke down completely. It was a collapse of hope and surfacing of despair. Raj was sitting there holding her, consoling her, trying to stay strong. His mother and father had arrived, along with his younger brother and his wife. They were in the living room. Shishma was feeling desperate, broken. And in that moment of weakness, she did something that almost sealed her fate. She spoke into Suman's room, not to Suman, but to the entity. She offered herself in her son's place. Later, Raj said that as soon as she did that, a gust of wind came from Suman's room and went through Sushma. She began trembling in his arms. Then, they had laughter coming from Suman's room. In mere moments, the laughter stopped, and his aunt, who was with him, saw him go unconscious. Then, he slept like a baby, as if getting rest for the first time in years. By the way, that gust of wind, they were sitting in a closed room. The windows were closed. There was no way, no chance for a stray breeze to come inside that room. It was none other than that entity. Over to Sushma, she whispered something that Raj didn't understand and it didn't sound like her. Raj let go of her and she started giggling. Mad giggle. It got creepier and creepier by the second. Raj understood that entity was no longer with his son. It was with his wife. But that was quick. Was it because she volunteered? Partly also because she was in her periods. Now, it's not because periods are impure. No, but periods are a sensitive time of the month for the woman because at that moment they are more vulnerable. Their hormones are making a mess of their emotions and they are a little irritated as well and a little mentally weak. And Sushma was mentally devastated. Couple that with her periods and she had all things that were needed for a quick possession. The period thing is a cultural belief of Hinduism. Now, whether it's true or not, the outcome was the same. Her condition escalated faster than Suman's ever did. Within minutes, her voice changed. Her movement became erratic, like jerks. Her eyes stopped focusing. The fear in the house quickly turned into panic because a possessed son is terrifying, yes, but a mother collapsing in front of you, well, that breaks people. They rushed her back to the priest. The priest took one look at her and his face changed. This is beyond me now. I cannot help you. She offered herself voluntarily. Cases like these are open and shut. She is as good as gone. Take her and give her comfort. Give her hospice. The entire family seemed extinguished. Put yourself in their shoes for once. How would you feel? You went to ask for help and what you got in return was a death sentence of your loved one. The entire family was defeated. Raj's eyes glazed over in shock. First, what happened to his son? Now his wife will be leaving him. But they could not give up just yet. Over the next few months, Raj searched everywhere. Took her to different ascetics, tantrics, saints. Thousands of things were tried, but nothing could cure Sushma. A particularly notable tantric told him that Sushma was being eaten from inside out by that Dayan, and her condition worsened day by day. She started getting weaker every single day, and also financially, they were getting drained. Little by little, things started to get stalled off. Eventually, things got so bad that Raj had to get a loan against the house. Raj was at his limits. Financially, mentally, emotionally. physically when he finally got to know of an address. The address was of a compound near a riverbank. It was walled off and it looked run down. Multiple huge trees were scattered throughout it, and in the middle of it was a house. From the outside it looked run down, but as they got closer, they started to hear some chatter, and the more closer they got, the louder the chatter became. When they finally crossed the gates, it felt like they had entered an entirely different reality. Raj found himself in a lawn full of people, and they were strange. Soon as they entered, everyone there turned towards their direction. They kept staring at the family, eyes and faces blank. They were in odd positions as well. Some were sitting on the ground, on the grass, and some were just standing there, looking blank, lost. And then there were some that were sitting on the trees, mostly kids, but many of them were adults. Strange. Raj was looking up at a boy sitting on a high branch.
What is your problem?
He didn't hear someone approaching him. He was surprised. The person in front of him looked like a teenager. He was dressed in all white and his face looked pale.
What is your problem?
He asked Raj in a tone that was inquisitive but also flat. Before Raj could respond, his eyes turned towards Sushma.
Oh, I see. Wait here.
Then he went inside the house. Raj turned to look at his wife and saw that for the first time she looked scared, terrified. She was sweating heavily. The family members gently put her down to sit, and she did so obediently. This was the first time she had listened this easy to any of them. After a few moments, the boy came back.
Come with me.
He led them inside the house. There was a middle-aged man sitting in the hall. He gestured them to sit. They did. The man then closed his eyes and kept silent. Feeling a little restless, Raj was about to speak, but the man raised his palm and that shut him down instantly. After a few moments, the man opened his eyes. He looked at Sushma, then at Suman.
You stepped on a lemon.
Suman just stared at the man.
A half-cut lemon, vermillion pressed on the flesh, pins hidden inside.
Then he turned towards Sushma.
Who are you? Who sent you?
No answer. He then whispered something under his breath, then raised his arm and slashed the air like a blade. Sushma flinched as if she had been physically hit.
Talk. What else?
Sushma's head hung low, her hair covered her face, and she began to play. At this point in the story, you need to know one thing. This person, this saint, keeps entities of his own, ghosts of his own. These ghosts are bound by mantras and are under his command, and when treating the possessed, he lets these entities loose to attack the entities possessing the victim. And for those who are interested, this is a bit of lore for you guys. Those that are under his command aren't just random entities. They are called ganas. Basically, these are the souls of those deceased that were devoted to the deity whose sadhana the saint practiced. I'm not going to go into detail about what sadhana is, but if you look it up, I'm sure you'll find it interesting. Continuing with the story. Soon, the entity talked, and this time, it was laughing. It was crying.
I promised him to me. I'm not going anywhere without him.
That entity screamed at the man. Who are you? He questioned. The entity refused to answer. He closed his eyes and whispered some words that they couldn't understand. When he opened them again, his voice was softer.
She was promised someone else, not your child.
That entity started to laugh again. He turned towards the entity. Then his face morphed into one of pity.
You've been suffering a lot. You drowned, didn't you? And someone bound you. Salvation is near. Don't worry.
Then he turned towards Raj.
It's late. So much has already been moved. I can't help you get rid of this, but I can show you the way. You'll have to go to the place where this thing is handled on a daily basis, where the place is built for it.
And one name rose above all others. Mandipur Balaji. For those who don't know, Mandipur Balaji is a temple in India where the possessed go to get rid of the entities that are possessing them. People talk about Mandipur Balaji like it's one trip and it's over. For this family, it wasn't. It became a cycle. Raj and his family were already nearing financial ruin, but these trips were draining everything they had. But there is a saying in India, जाको राखे साया मार सके ना कोई. Those who are kept for by God cannot be destroyed. Somehow they always had enough to survive. Their faith pulled them through. They persisted. It took them 11 trips to finally get relief. Suman's family still lives with the after effects. They are still in debt. They are paying off now. Suman's father sold his house and now they live in a shack far away from the city. Suman dropped out of college and worked in construction for a few years. Now he is an apprentice electrician. None of them pay enough. Whatever Raj earns goes towards paying off the debts, while whatever Suman earns goes towards survival of the family. Sushma recovered enough to return to life, but she remains physically weak to this day, prone to sickness. From riches to rags, just because of a moment of carelessness. Just because of a lemon. So if you ever find a lemon on the crossroad, walk around it, don't touch it. Just save yourself. Who knows what kind of entities it is carrying. This was today's story. Do let me know in the comment section how you liked it, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want to help me keep the lights on, consider joining my Patreon. Till the next video, stay tuned with the channel. Keep your friends and family close, take care of yourself, and stay away from places you're supposed to stay away from. I'm Vivek and you're watching Graveline Stories. Till the next time.